game of soccer was created in the 12th century in Europe, but to better understand the rules, influence, and the science behind it, we need to go back in time. During these projects, we were asked to keep a big history lens in mind. This is when we look at a problem, period of time, or thing from close up and really far away to understand just how far it came. When we look at something with a big history lens in mind, we like to trace it back to the very beginning, about 13.6 billion years ago. This is not when the Big Bang happened, but this is when a supernova set off and left elements scattered throughout our galaxy. How does this affect soccer? Well, these elements are what build up everything. The ball, the goals, the nets, and everything else on Earth. To simplify things as much as possible, I will just be talking about the basic equipment of soccer, the ball and the nets. The soccer ball consists of a rubber bladder and synthetic leather outer. The bladder is usually made out of styrene butadiene rubber, a common synthetic rubber. The butadiene is made up of carbon and hydrogen. Styrene is also built up of carbon and hydrogen, the form is just different. The leather outer usually uses animal products. I don't want to explain all the elements in animals, just know they're all carbon-based. Finally, the goals. The goal frame is usually made up of a combination of heavy GOG steel and aluminum steel. Aluminum steel is the combination of aluminum, copper, zinc, silicone, and magnesium, while GOG steel is just made up of iron and carbon. The nets are usually made up of polypropylene, polyethylene, and nylon. Polypropylene is built up of carbon and hydrogen. Polyethylene is also built up of carbon and hydrogen. Nylon is just made up of carbon. Long before we developed the modern equipment we use for soccer today, early societies used basic materials to play the game. The most prominent examples of this are in Mesoamerica, China, Japan, and ancient Greece. These were the first areas where soccer-like games developed. In these areas, soccer-like games developed separately from each other, creating very cultural, diverse soccer-like games. It wasn't until the 12th century that soccer was created. It was created in England, but they took inspiration from the Romans. At the very beginning, soccer was very violent. Many people died because of soccer, and it was banned from many towns and villages. There also wasn't a lot of rules. It wasn't until 1848 when Cambridge University put forth the first set of rules, known as the Cambridge Rules. Soon after, in 1863, the game had spread to Scotland and Ireland. By the late 19th century, the game had spread to the rest of Europe and parts of South America. At this point, many leagues started to form. They needed a place where they could collectively come together and they could decide on tournaments, leagues, and how teams from different countries could play each other. This is when FIFA and UEFA were founded. Once these companies were founded, soccer began to boom. They started bringing in tons of money, and this is what leads us into the next generation of soccer, technological and money. The first sign of technology in soccer was in 1927, when a game was broadcasted through radio. This soon became a recurring thing and would bring soccer to a new level. The next time soccer leveled up was when the game was televised. This allowed for people not to have to be in the stadium to watch the game. This leads us to where we are today. Soccer is the world's biggest sport. The biggest sporting events are soccer events, and there is a lot of money in soccer. Here are my sources.